Hello, and thank you so much for listening to Facilities in Focus. My name is Mackenna Moralez, and I am the Associate Editor for FacilitiesNet and also your host. It's always a pleasure to have you stop by on your journey on the internet, but I am really excited about today's guest. You all probably know him already, but that isn't going to stop me from introducing him. Today, I am joined by Keith Watkins. Keith has 35 years of experience in New York State public schools related to facilities management and is a certified director of facilities. He has a list of credits and certificates that are longer than my wingspan, and he is well known for his expertise in cleaning for health, IAQ, staffing and task management, facilities assessments, and so much more. Keith is a proven leader to all aspects of facilities, operations, and maintenance, and I'm just really happy to have him on the podcast today. So, thank you so much for joining me, Keith. How are you?
I'm great. McKenna, thanks for having me again. It's been a while since we've got caught up, so I'm excited to partake in today's conversation.
Well, I know that I have already said that I'm excited about like 12 times to
hmm
you, but we're talking about education facilities this season, and I think you can agree with this, but I feel like I'm kind of still a student in some ways, and I don't know if it's because my husband is a teacher and we still operate on like the school calendar, but I just find that school buildings to be really interesting and all the logistics that go into maintaining them to be kind of fascinating. And I do know that sounds really silly, but I remember sitting in my desk at school just like thinking about what happens after hours and during the summer. But I know that one of the ways that you help maintain your school is by hiring students. So can you tell me a little bit about that program?
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to, and just never forget that it's never too late to get into the facilities management world, McKenna. So sounds like if you're fascinating about it, daydreaming about it, that you might be hooked and you just don't know it. But if you want to, if you want to extend that or go further, let me know. I can point you in the right direction. But yeah, so we are a large or a larger city school district. I manage a department of about 115 folks. We manage 1.6 million square feet. We have 10 school buildings and 11 sites total that we manage. So when I got here about 8 years ago, in my past history, I've had these programs in other schools. So of course I came here and it was something I wanted to identify, get on the radar, and start to promote because it's been so beneficial through previous districts. And that is, using that resource known as our youth, our students, community members in the maintenance, whether it's cleaning in the summertime, or if it's actually pointing people in the right direction that have some basic knowledge and are looking to promote that and getting them, into the facilities mindset and facilities department in a public school. We hire 30 youth a year. Um,
Okay.
and they're assigned to the buildings, and they start out always doing just the cleaning and the maintenance. Just picture a putty knife getting gum off the bottom of the desks. That wonderful thing that everyone likes to do in the sweltering heat. But what a lot of and this isn't just an education for the students, but it's also an education for your staff. When you start to um, mentor and build into your own existing staff known as the adults, you're letting them know that this is probably the first opportunity a lot of these folks, these kids have with known as a job, right? So it's not babysitting. Please get rid of that mindset. You're mentoring this kid, this student, you're helping them. Your job is to find out where their interests are, and your job
Mhm.
is to support them, mentor them, and potentially push them in a direction that they've communicated as an interest. A lot of kids aren't college bound. I have three boys. One went to NC State, graduated with his master's a year early, works at Wells Fargo, is all about numbers. My middle son is a union linesman. He said, I don't want to go to college, Dad. I went to a tech school. 4 months later, he was already hired by Georgia Power. He's out fixing major power lines. He's working with his hands, and he absolutely loves it. And he's well over six figures. So there's
Wow.
college isn't the answer for everybody,
Mhm.
but but it's an option. But there's so many options in the trades related to facilities management. So we hire those 30 kids, they work. If they express an interest, and multiple times these kids are they come back for multiple years until they graduate high school, then they can't work in the program. But if they say things like, hey, I want to learn about electricity, or hey, I want to, so there are some other things that we let them ghost with, like our electrician. We will let them change light bulbs. We will let them change univent filters, which then starts the conversation more than just cleaning. It talks about microns and filtration, and why HVAC systems have filtration and what it does. Everyone thinks filtration was meant for the occupant. Filtration was originally designed to protect the equipment. Then they realize it also makes for better indoor air quality. So those are the conversations we get with our students, and it just starts to promote that interest in trades, working with your hands, and the possibilities are endless.
Mm-hmm. I like how you said that it keeps them interested too, because my first job, I'm pretty sure I've said this on the podcast too. My first job was at Carter's, the baby clothing store. And that knowledge, baby sizes, has stuck with me since I was 17 years old. And now I have a child, so that information has become very useful in knowing how sizing works and everything, because not all stores are the same in it. But that information that you are learning as a teenager, especially on the job, really does stick with you, whether it is baby clothes or if it's something a little bit more useful like HVAC and maintenance.
I totally agree. And to see the best joy for me is, even though, I'm not in the buildings as much as I would like to be, because I have my offices at City Hall. But when I do get to the buildings and I'm doing annual inspections, like fire inspections, but when I'm doing my weekly inspections and I get out to see my own staff, I really enjoy seeing that connection between our existing staff and the youth workers. It just makes you feel so good that you see a youth worker asking questions, you see them the light bulb going on, no pun intended, that, hey, I like this. This is cool, and there's so many other programs that they start there. But, as we get into this podcast, there's some more success stories that will show what I'm talking about, that I try to just enforce in my own staff. Don't take these conversations and these interactions lightly with our students and our youth workers, because you have no idea the positive impact you're having on them.
Right. So what is considered youth for this program?
14 to 18. So they can start working, they can get their working papers at 14. So 8th, 9th grade era, right? They can come to work. And then the city, who we partner with on this program, they do all the interviewing. They have multiple jobs throughout the city: Parks and Rec, sanitation, inside, outside, and so they help us. They do the interviewing and they give us the 30 names. I see the kids coming into the building, and it's so good to see. You see people dressing the part. They're coming with suits on. They're coming with dresses on. They're coming to nail the interview. They're not just, and speaking with my counterparts in the city, these kids are knocking it out of the park. They are doing their homework. So it's nice to see that you're getting youth that are interested from the beginning, because that's a big help.
Right. Is this program something that you created with the city and with the district, or did you inherit it when you came?
No, I created it. So I went down to the city because I saw that they had summer programs with Parks and Rec, their own sanitation. You could work on the grounds crew for trimming, weeding parks. So I said, hey, can we add a school district component to this? And we the first couple of years we hired 50 kids, but like everyone else, right, you end up with budget constraints. So we've been doing 30 now. So this is I've been here 8 years. This is now our 7th year. I started the very first year I was here. This will be our 7th year doing this, and it's a home run. It is. We actually hire the 30, and we bring on 5 additional workers as what we call alternates. So when kids take vacations with their families over the summer, or they call out sick, because yes, it's a real job, they're being paid. They have to call in sick. They have to notify their supervisor. You don't just get to stay in bed and not notify anybody. This is a real deal, and this is the teaching point that I'm talking about. We have an orientation. I introduce myself, let them know that if they can't, follow directions, if they can't call in sick, if they can't communicate as an adult, then they will be replaced by one of the alternates. But right now they have the job. They've obviously interviewed well. It's a whole accountability. It's welcome, but just be aware this isn't going to be a walk in the park. This is you're going to
Right.
work. You're going to be able to put a couple grand away over the summer if you're good with your money. And oh, by the way, if you did good and you like it and we made it work, we're going to most likely allow you to come back next year as well.
Right. Is
So
it just for the summer too?
correct. It's just for the summer. There's another program that we can talk about as well that is not just summer, but it's also it's got some different time frames. But this program particularly is just for the summer. It's so this year it's going to be it's going to start on Monday, July 7th, and it's going to run through Friday, August 29th. So
Okay. Very cool. Do you get a lot of girls?
we get, I would say, I wouldn't say it's 50-50. I would say it's probably 75-25 girls. And, that's a great point. I'm a past president of the New York State School Facilities Association. I've been a member for 25 years. I'm still on committees. This will be my last conference because I am retiring next year. Yes, I am retiring next year. But we've had only one woman president in our association tenure. So it's I love when I see young women come in and they have an interest, and usually those who are direct, that you can see they got a clear focus. There's nothing stopping them. I love it when I see women in the trades. There's such a niche for that, and usually they're so detail orientated that they're usually very successful.
Oh, good. Well, as a woman, I love to hear stuff like that. Please, to
Yep.
all of our listeners, read my Women in FM column. But how does early exposure to facilities management help address the industry's aging workforce issue?
Well, I think it's everyone, you're graduating high school, you're 17 or 18. I graduated when I was 17, and you've got everyone staring you in the face like, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? It's like, you don't
Mhm.
know. It's a lot of pressure. I mean, I don't even know if I still know what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Right.
But I think the early exposure, like I tell my own three boys, finding out what you don't want to do is just as important as finding out what you do want to do, right?
So
So,
true.
early exposure helps those young adults figure out if this is an option for them, right? So
Mhm.
instead of waiting till you kind of fluster through the college, the associates, the bachelors, and maybe end up with a degree that wasn't as useful as you thought, right? There's that problem in the world today too. Getting
Right.
a degree that doesn't have a high demand. With the trades, I built my wife her first two houses, right? So I
Right.
have a carpentry background, I have a construction background, all while I was doing facilities management. So I was a carpenter by day and I was a cleaner at night. I started out as a custodial worker in upstate New York, lowest position you can imagine in 1990. Right. So eventually I took
Mhm.
civil service exams. I learned more. I took accreditations. I took online courses, and eventually ended up, going to a custodian, a custodial supervisor, an assistant director of facilities to a director of facilities, which I've been for the last 17 years, I believe. So it can happen. You just have to pay attention. I didn't know what I was doing, and it just ended up the picture kind of painted itself. So me liking to work with my hands as a young child, building my own forts in my backyard, fixing things, that turned into my passion for facilities. And then you couple that with the student aspect, helping students grow, helping students learn, helping them maybe get on a path a little quicker than if you hadn't given them a little boost or support.
Right.
That's the biggest piece of gratification for me.
Right. Because the worst is accumulating all the student debt and then not doing anything with
Correct.
it. That is, and my friends, I I walked out of school with a ton of
Mhm.
student debt. I'm lucky to be doing what my degree is in, but a lot
Yep.
of people don't, and I don't think there's any shame in trade jobs. We need the trades. And what is so frustrating is people getting pushed to go to college when it's not the right fit for them.
Yep.
And it's not, if there's any young students listening, if you feel in your gut that it's not a right fit, take a year, work, figure out what you want to do first, and then school will always be there for you. And I think people need to remember that you don't need to decide what you want to be at 18. You
Right.
can take the trade route. It's so admirable. You are always needed in it. And now this is just a little rant, Keith, because I took my son to the Children's Museum here in Milwaukee, and all the like little imaginary play exhibits were all trade jobs. And I was like, oh, so they can play this and have fun with it, but then when he grows up, it's kind of frowned upon to be trades.
Right.
How does that make sense?
Right.
To me.
Right. Yeah, it's a different culture and mindset for sure. Like I said, I love talking about, as a proud dad, I love talking about my three boys and how each one is doing something totally different, right? One was meant for college, got his master's in 4 years, overachiever. He could have done it 3 years. We said, no, stay in college. You're going to work the rest of your life. The middle son said, no college. He went to a 4-month trade school, a tech school in Florida. He was employed before he graduated in 4 months. He has paid that $35,000 off himself. He owes nobody nothing. Truck is free and clear. My youngest son went to college on a D1 wrestling scholarship, spent 1 year in college. He got a great summer job, worked so well. That company offered him a full-time job. We had that discussion. Why am I going to go to school to get the job that's sitting here on my lap? So he took the job. He's still going to get his degree online. But all three took a little bit different paths, but all three are very successful and are doing very, very well. And they haven't been in Dad's wallet in a long time, which is very important. So Dad's happy about that. So
right, and I'm sure parents are taking notes right now. Like, they won't need money if they go.
Yeah. Our oldest son still has some college debt. He's paying it off himself. We supported him with a vehicle, and we did what we could, but we didn't write the check. We didn't pay it in full because you got to have some skin in the game.
Right. It offers a sense of independence at such a young age.
Correct.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Right. But to graduate with, over $200,000 in college debt with a degree that's not going to pay you, there's people that are my age, I'm 53, going to be 54 very soon, that are, that I know of that are still paying college debt off. And I just don't understand that logic. I think it's so easy to get approved for college loans now that it's not real money, it's fake money. And then when then when those bills come in and you have all this interest and it compounds and it compounds and it compounds. I mean, you should be teaching those basic math skills and in school so they can understand that when they sign that money has to be paid back. And that's I think sometimes it just it's so easy to get that many youth overlook that until it's too late and they start seeing those statements come in and it's like, what did I do? I can't possibly make enough to pay off. So it's something that if you can get ahead of early and balance, all the options we've talked about could work,
Right. And I went to an engineering school and majored in writing. So I know what it's like to make my parents proud with stuff like that.
There you go.
But
that's great.
What long-term benefits do you see in hiring younger workers in these type of roles?
I think what we're finding out, especially in New York, I'm going to retire next August, right? It's all about the succession plan, right? We're learning that 40% or more of sitting directors of facilities are going to retire within the next 5 years.
Right.
So if you're not already, I like to use the cliche terms like it takes a professional or grow your own. Those are all conference themes from past conferences for the our association in New York, right? But it's true. I'm trying to grow my own here with my students, my youth. Getting them basic skill level talents so they can enter the workforce with at least something on their resume and come to work prepared and be successful, and then grow them as we all progress, right? Hey, there's another civil service test coming up. What have you done to qualify? What have you, putting them in a position to be successful? But it's if you treat them as human beings, not as a resource. You speak into them, you build into them, you show that you care. That's how I think we've been so successful here, and that goes for the administration above my head too. We have a wonderful superintendent. We have a great cabinet. We have wonderful people who just care, and I think that's huge in retainage and wanting folks who could leave and go somewhere else. They would rather stay because of the support and positivity around the job here in the city school district of New Rochelle.
Right. It's all about company culture, and I think like there's only so many perks of like snacks that you can get,
Yep.
and when it's like when people treat you well and treat you with respect and offer the flexibility that you need, that really makes a difference for work-life balance too, and getting, and like you said, getting people to stay.
But I would say, the succession plan, you getting folks in early so they can understand what they like and what they don't like and making them successful. It just helps build your succession plan, not only for like myself, but other positions within the department. You just learn to plug and play.
Right. I know you said that to not necessarily use students as resources, but with working with students, has that like changed how you approach maintaining facilities at all, since they are the ones that are in the buildings all day?
Say that again.
So since students are in the buildings all day and now they're working in them, has that changed your approach to maintaining the facilities and learning from them and what they might need in school?
Well, so this is where like the couple other programs we have kind of come to mind. These workers are summer only, but as I'm in my buildings, the summer workers who remember me from the lasting impression that they learned from me on the orientation day, they'll give me a high five. They'll say, "Hey, what's up, Mr. Watkins?" And there's a sense when I talk with the building custodians, plant managers, the guys and the gals who oversaw these folks in the summer, they continue that rapport with them throughout the school year. And there's a sense of pride, there's a sense of accomplishment. So those kids who typically work with us during the summer, they have a different outlook on taking care of their school, because it is their school. They've sweated it over the summer and done labor in it. So they have a little bit of a different outlook. So I think that changes the outlook of those students. I'm not going to say all students. We still have broken windows. We still have the normal things that happen in schools on a daily basis. But another program we have is called School to Work, and it's with our special ed population. So at 10 o'clock every day, I have about 15 or 16 students who put on a blue facilities t-shirt, and they get a badge just like I'm wearing, and they vacuum rugs, they clean off cafeteria tables, they clean windows, they pick up the school grounds. The goal there is to give them the skills so that when they graduate, and if they go on to Project Search, which is another year after they graduate, at our local hospital, at grocery stores, at other vendor support groups that give them additional skills out in the real workplace, right? I just went to our annual Project Search meeting. 2 out of the 6 graduates were already employed by the local grocery store, working, one in maintenance and one in the produce. It's an amazing thing to watch these. And I have to say, we have the second largest high school in New York State. It's over 520,000 square feet. There's 3,000 students alone, right? Wow. My team there is 32 people. That building took such a positive turn when this is a program I did in another district. When we let that population of special ed folks join our team and help us and support us, they knocked it out of the park. I've never seen the building shine so much. And you should see the respect and the support that other students give these students as they're vacuuming. They say, "Good job." They, congratulate them, but they come and even the teachers say, "I wish they would learn in the classroom with as much excitement as it is when it gets 5 minutes to 10 and they know they're getting ready to go to work." So it's another great program that we're doing here, but it's also, again, a reflection of the support group, the teachers, the staff, the students, supporting these students to let them showcase their skills that they're learning, or they wouldn't have the opportunity otherwise. So.
Right, that is incredible, especially with students with disabilities. I feel so often people try to infantilize them,
Yep.
and really they just want to be treated like everybody else.
And to continue that success stories, a few of these students have gone on to be hired by the district and work as hourly cleaners in our cafeterias during the day, and they show up every day. They get their 4 or 5 hours of work, and they help us keep the cafeteria tidy. They clean, they disinfect. I mean, it's an amazing thing to watch.
That is amazing. Well, I feel like if I think about it for too long, I could cry. So I'm going to switch questions.
Carry on.
But what skills or qualities do students bring that older professionals may not?
I think it's probably more like anything, one of my Keithisms is, it's what you learn after you know it all that's most important, right? They come with a fresh outlook. They don't come with negativity. They typically come with positivity, and they
Right.
typically won't come with a set work habits, right? It's easier for me to train and mentor somebody that has limited or no experience than someone who has experience, but it might not exactly be the way that we want it done in this environment. So it's harder to break those habits or those things that you don't want them to do because they have the experience. It's for me, sometimes it's easier to take a fresh sponge and mentor it and train them so that they learn the way you want it done. Sometimes that's much easier, but I think younger folks come with a fresher outlook, a little more flexibility. They're not quite set in their ways yet than older experienced folks.
Right. And so that kind of transitions to my next question, but do you find it easier to train younger employees in newer technologies or processes?
Yes, because why? Because we weren't born with iPhones in our hand. We weren't born with all this technology that these younger kids have had since day one and are still using on a daily basis. We didn't have a
Right.
phone to. I mean, in high school, I had to wait to call my girlfriend, then now my wife. They had a party line. I had to wait for everyone on our street to get off the phone so we could have a quick conversation. And
Right.
I couldn't just pick up a cell phone and call my girlfriend, and I couldn't Google, hey, how do I patch a drywall? How do I fix, the technology today? Kids, the workforce is coming with more knowledge because they've got broader resources to get their questions answered, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do without Google. I was really born in the right time.
My wife likes it that I don't stop into a gas station and ask directions. I have Waze now. So, we get lost. We get lost because, men aren't going to stop and ask for directions. I mean, that'd be criminal. You can't stop and ask for directions. So I have to say I like my Waze app too. So.
Good. But what misconceptions do you think students have about facilities management, and how can early job experience help correct those?
Yeah. I think that, the stigma is always, if you're in the trades, it's because you weren't smart enough to go to college. I'm going to tell
It's
you
a
what.
lie.
Yeah, it is a lie. I'm not saying you can't do both. You can get get your associate's degree in rough carpentry. I mean, it's good to go to a college or a tech or trade school that gives you this hands-on knowledge. I have multiple friends that are very, very successful tradesmen, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. My father-in-law was an electrician. My own dad was a custodian in a public school for 26 years. I think it's unfortunately looked upon as you're uneducated, you're not smart, you don't really have any real talents or crafts, so that's why you went into the trades. But it is so the opposite. When you see a master plumber or master electrician look at a set of plans, and they can pick up problems and notice things that the average person won't, and to have the understanding. My middle son, who was no good at math, my oldest son was a genius at math, but because my son chose lineman work, he had to get the proper schooling on math because there's a lot of math and electricity. I hate to tell you, when you start doing your relativity of ohms, right? So to watch him pass those steps as he works towards his journeyman license as a union linesman, it does mom and dad's heart great to see him do the math like off the tip of his tongue that he couldn't do without frustrating, crying, causing a scene as he was in high school. So, something that he hated now is part of his everyday career. So
Right.
it's amazing to see.
Yes. But Do you have any advice to other facility managers who might be listening to this on how to start a student apprenticeship program?
Well, I think you first have to start with your administration, right? You have to. People say it's not about the money. It's all about the money in public education. It's all
Right.
about the money. So I would say you want to start working with, if you're in facilities and you're reporting to the business official. A lot of us do. A lot of us report directly to the superintendent. You want to get on the radar. You want to talk with your middle schools and your high schools. If you get the green light, you want to talk about what it would look like. How do you start it? Do you start with 5? Do you start with 10? What are the expectations? Are they on grounds? Can they operate equipment? What's your insurance liabilities, right? These are all the things that I had to vet through. So that's why all the workers start with general cleaning and moving furniture, right? Then
Right.
after they're there a year, and for those who are outspoken and say, "Boy, what does that do, Mr. Watkins?" Or, "Hey, how does that? Why do you do that?" Okay, now they're interested. Now they're inquiring, right?
Right.
And then you can build on that. But you got to get buy-in. And this is my sixth district in 35 years. I I have had a little bit of pushback and resistance, but we were able to mow that over, so to say, because you're there for the best interests of the students. On my LinkedIn page, you'll see a lot of my hashtags say, "We work for the students." Right? We
Right.
work. That's what we do. We work for the students. We are here to
Hmm.
make sure that their experience is safe, it's healthy, it's positive. We're here to help them start the path on success. I
Right.
just, that's what makes me get up and come here every day, to know that I have the option, or I have the ability to interact with students and help them get to where they want to go, help them on their path, help them achieve their goals, give them information that might spark an interest in something rather than nothing, right? So that's what we should all be doing here. But it starts with your administration and funding.
Hmm. Well, that is all that I have for you today, Keith. Really appreciate this. I think I'm gonna go back to my husband today and be like, I think you should start this program at your school.
Yeah. Well, I have one more thing I want to say, though, because I'd be remiss if I didn't. So
Of course.
great success story. We have an individual. His name is Myrique. He started in the youth program. He actually started in the youth work program with the city,
Oh,
doing
excellent.
parks and rec. But then he converted over to the school district. Then he became an hourly cleaner. Then he became a permanent employee as a laborer. And I'm proud to say that Myrique is now the custodian of our largest elementary school. There's 7 of them. So Myrique is now the custodian, managing a crew of 7, I believe, of 136,000 square foot elementary school. Um,
Wow.
and this young man started out in the youth worker program. So to say it can't happen, to say that it's this kid had no idea what he wanted to do. He was headed nowhere fast. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean he really had no direction going on. He didn't know. He took a liking to the cleaning custodial FM piece, and he is killing it. He is absolutely killing it, and he is doing a wonderful job for us. I think they just had their second child, but he's an amazing human being, and it all started out with the youth work program. So it was an amazing story.
That is a great way to end it.
Yeah.
Oh, that warms my heart. I love success stories
Yep.
like that, and it doesn't have to be a sob story in
No.
order to be successful. You can just
No.
work your way up.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that really shows
Yep. Yep.
how programs like this are helpful.
Yeah, yeah. The only other thing you didn't ask me is we have another internship program. I get 4 to 5 students a year, and they work with us for 4 hours a week for 16 weeks. And them working with us, they have homework, they have assignments. They either shadow my master electrician, my master plumber, my plant manager, and they have to come to my office here at City Hall for 4 hours a week for 16
Okay.
weeks, and that gets them their CTE stamp on their diploma.
Excellent.
So that's another collaboration between the business and engineering teacher at my high school that we started 2 years ago. So this is our third year doing that too. So it's just you just have to be open and understanding what the opportunities are available for your students through the department
Mhm.
known as facilities.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Keith. I think a lot of people are going to take good stuff from this. I really enjoyed talking
I
to
hope
you.
so. That's the point, you know. And
Mm.
if anybody has any questions, hit me up on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to tell you more about what we do and how you could possibly get started.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Facilities in Focus podcast. Facilities in Focus is a product of the facility market, which houses FacilitiesNet, building operating management, facilities maintenance decisions, and healthcare facilities today. Thank you to our sound and video editor, Paul Ellertson. Thank you to Morgan Johnson for designing our logo. Thank you to Dan Walton, Dave Lubach, Dan Hounsell, Jeff Warden, Jill McDermott, and everyone else at Trade Press Media Group. For comments, or if you are interested in being a guest on Facilities in Focus, please email us at fnpodcast@tradepress.com.